Rico, and from Puerto Rico, they came to New York and fought in New York. And so that makes me a son of liberty. It's something you can check that out, Sons of Liberty. And I just filed like 2 months ago. And I have all my DNA and everything. And the interesting thing was that from Puerto Rico, my mother went to New York, and I grew up in New York. I was born in New York, and I lived in an Irish neighborhood because my grandmother was involved in the Irish mob, and I got to know coming up the children of those that were in the IRA. Now, I didn't know they were the IRA. I would go to their homes, I would go to their feasts, I would go to the taverns, and so instead of calling me Santiago, they would call me James. That's the English term. So I grew up with Macaulay, McLean guys in school, and we would play baseball. They taught me a thing or two about rugby, and we became great friends, and many of us are still friends today. And some of my cousins end up marrying American Irish people. And well, that's how I happen to have ancestry going way back. Now I want to go to Ireland. Now how did pipe get to Puerto Rico? Well, these wild geese brought the clay pipes. And they decided to take what was called the ceiba tree and began making local pipes. But they weren't smoking pipe tobacco, they were smoking regular tobacco, and they knew how to cure it. And so they influenced a lot of the music in Puerto Rico, a lot of the Irish. A lot of people don't realize that there were a lot of wild geese. The first soldiers to immigrate to Puerto Rico were about 600. So every year on St. Patty's Day, they celebrate. Now before, I had never gone to those celebrations. I used to go to St. Patty's in New York, up Fifth Avenue, and hung out with, and then in the military, I just hung around a lot of Irish guys, and they would call me Black Irish, but Black Irish means dark black hair, so I had black hair. So they would always judge me about that. And I can't drink. I light up. And so that's how a little bit about my Irish ancestry, and I love everything Irish. So I'm a mixture. I'm a guy that's mixed. I'm a mix, Spanish, Portuguese, Irish. So that's part of the history of how my ancestors went from Ireland to Puerto Rico. From Puerto Rico, they joined the American Revolution, and they fought in the War of 1812. And they were pipe smokers, and I've always been partial to anything from Ireland, and its history, its lore, everything about it. And I have a love for seeing a lot of the Irish guys that I knew that became sailors love the sea. And when we were able to go to Australia, Western Australia, Perth, Australia, and there was a rugby match, Irish rugby, the guys were there. So they invited me. I was really well built when I was young. Come on, James. Instead of saying Santiago, they would say James. Come on, James, we're going to go. I said, Australian football, what are you talking about? So I went with them. And then from there, we went to you might call it a tavern or whatnot. There was some Aussies there. And they didn't want to let me in because they thought I was outback. They thought I was an aborigine. So I was with a bunch of Irish guys from aboard the ship, and we were smoking pipes, and I'm walking up there asking for a beer, and the guys were around me, and here comes these Aussies, and they were saying something in a language I had no idea. So what? Aborigine? Hey, mate, you're Outback. What are you doing here? Aborigines were not allowed. So they thought I was Aborigine. They thought I was Fijian. They thought I was from New Zealand. They thought I was from America. Some thought I was from American Samosa. You know, and so a fight ensued. And we busted up the Irish guys and me, man. We busted them Aussies up real good, you know. And it was great to see that these Irishmen had my back, you know, and they fought with me, man. You know, I'm telling you, I was in a lot of bar fights. Man, I never seen an Irishman fight so hard. It was incredible, you know, and that began to rep up a lot of the Irish boxes, and they began teaching me more, you know, about the Irish way. We're real tribe. I had no idea how strong the ties of their names and their religious beliefs, not only to Ireland, but to each other. You know, warriors. They had that warrior spirit. In Puerto Rico, we had a warrior spirit, both Indian and Irish. And I was so proud at that brawl. I mean, I had a black eye, but we didn't give in to those guys, and they ended up having to call the police. We trashed the bar. They sent me the captain's mast, and you know, I had a couple of Irish officers. They're saying, "Yes, sir, he's a black Irish." We call me black Irish, and the guys decided to fight with him. The other Irish guys, and so it was interesting that the XO was a Scottish and Irish descent, so he kind of understood. He waved it off. Gave me 3 days of hard duty in the kitchen, and I began making some wonderful coffee on the officers' deck, the mess hall. They loved it. So they dropped the sentence from 3 days to 1 day, and I went up there to make coffee every day for Irish officers. You know, they began calling me BI for Black Irish. And so from that point on, I was known on board the ship as Black Irish, you know, and the reputation of fighting. And if you were going to go out on liberty and in any place they knew Miguel could handle himself, you know. So that's my take on Irish ancestry, and I'm very proud of it, you know. And I hope to one day go to Ireland and visit. I have right now in Ireland people that are 4th or 5th cousins that match in my DNA. So that's all I want to say. You know, I want to say anybody that has Irish blood, you know, I'm very proud. I might not have your skin, man, but I'm as Irish as can be. This is Sailor the Piper Man, Piper the Sailor Man. Thank you for watching.